Hey everybody, this is Joseph S. Samaniego. I'm the author of the Carolingian Age fantasy book series, and I am here to do a movie review. And if you follow my blog before, you have seen that I've done some reviews, most recently on Netflix's The King, The Outlaw King, and also on Seis Manos. But then I've also done Dragon Prince, a few others. And today I'm going to do another review. And today's review is going to be on 2020's The Old Guard, which is on Netflix right now. It's a fantasy style movie with a lot of modern, really cool elements, real world elements. And what it is basically a group of immortals who are trying to help humanity in some shape or form or another. Most of them, most of the time, through violence. Yes, they choose violence quite often, as a matter of fact. So, what you get in this film is a really great theme of you can't see the forest through the trees, and you'll see kind of what I mean by that a little bit later. However, this film is really taking the immortality, helping humanity role and expanding on it and moving away from kind of some of these more traditional styles of, hey, we're here to help humanity and we're from the church or we're from this group. It's like these are truly freelancers. So let's delve into this a little bit. And Charlize Theron stars as Andy, the leader of this group, and you kind of get the idea that she's the leader because she's the oldest, but she may not be the first of the immortals. You find that there's two more, at least two more that are mentioned. One has passed on because they're not truly immortal. One of the age-old questions of immortality is when does it end? One of the things that always kind of made me question about mortality was what happens, at the very end of everything. Are you still around? So we learned that they aren't actually truly immortal because one did die. And that one is kind of very, plays a very important role. Now, apart from that, we also understand that there was another immortal who, during witch trials, was subjected to the drowning torture. And she's there somewhere out there. That may come into play later, it may not. We don't know. Yet, we do know that as the leader, Andy is kind of the protector of all these, and that weighs on her heart. Everything weighs on her heart, and what is going on around the world weighs on her heart. Are they doing good? Are they helping? One character who is an Italian, a Genoese crusader, actually even says when asked, "Are you guys the good guys?" He even says, "Depends on the century." So a lot of the theme here, as I said, is you can't see the forest through the trees. Is are they actually even able to see the good or bad that they are doing? And that is starting to weigh on their minds. Are they really contributing to society, or is humanity really just screwed as we know it? Because their whole mantra has been to have a cause and effect. Well, what effect are they having? And that plays out. And that also plays into the main antagonist role of this film. So, what you get in the antagonist here is CEO of a big pharma corporation, and he's proud of it, Stephen Merrick, played by Harry Dudley Dorsey from Harry Potter, who had an amazing glow up. Let me just say that. But he's also the perfect antagonist for this. His whole righteousness turning into greed encapsulates CEO of Pharma, but on a grander scale because here he is with just a small army of his own of special forces, and then he's using XCIA freelancers, and he's basically just creating this whole premise around find out what makes these immortals tick, and then marketing that for his own profits. He's doing under the guise of getting this longevity for humanity, which actually still raises the question of which they never get into, which is probably a good thing for time wise, but it raises the question of if we want to have humans living another 10, 15, 20, 30 years past our normal life expectancy, what does that do to the world? Oh, he don't care. Simple. He doesn't care. And that's what makes him the great antagonist. So, antagonist wise, perfect. Now, there is some history involved. Obviously, you got these characters who are really, old. And I'm going to probably touch on this back and forth history because that's what I am. I'm a historian. I love history. And my other series is the history inspired fantasy. So, I want to touch on that. And so, we do see a little bit of history with a couple of the characters, which is good to see. I like that. I wish we could have seen more of. But there is still, like I said, the other immortal that's out there. Where does she play in? But future will tell. But the the effects that has on the story is not very present out in the open, but it's subconscious there. So that was done really well, and seeing her interactions with Andy was done really well. Again, that's the main history we got. Would have liked to see more, but that was done really well. So that means that we have now a ragtag group of team, and ragtag's probably not the right word for it, but a very diverse group of immortals with very special skills, and I'm talking really special skills. Not only do you have Andy, who the debate is how old is she? Well, my guess would be roughly 2,500 years old, uh, more like along ancient Greek days, prior to Alexander. Now, but you also have a relatively young Booker, who is from the Napoleonic days of the wars. Then you have Joe, who was a Saracen who fought against the Crusades. Didn't say which crusade, but he was fought against the Crusades. And then Nicky, who was a Crusader at the same time as Joe, and he was an Italian. So we're looking at probably the Fourth Crusade, give or take, time frame. So we're still in the Middle Ages. So still a really old team, old guard, old team. And then we have a newcomer, Nile, who is killed in Afghanistan, finds out that she is immortal, goes through the process, which they do pretty well given the short time frame. They do pretty well of her coming to grips with that. And then you get to the heart of the matter. We learn about some of the histories, but we also learn about the unexplained that no one knows. Why are they here? Why are they immortal? What you know, really, where did they come from? With Highlander, we always knew this was a separate race, a separate species almost. Here, not so much. There's this. I really went into this thinking it was going to be like kind of like Highlander in a way, without the whole there can be only one mentality, but it's not. These are very different setup. So in that regard, it really is original. It's a really pretty cool premise, and I like how they really did just smooth out the edges of, oh my god, I'm immortal, I'm alive now. There's some consequences of how do I contact my family? What happens when your family finds out, as we see with Booker? And then also, how does the world treat you when they say, hey, you were dead, now you're not? It's kind of weird, isn't it? And then, I guess mentioned earlier, there was some flashbacks to witch hunts because obviously, if you're living forever and you keep living through the tests of witch hunts, you kind of get branded a witch. So, one of the really great moments of this film is Chiwetel Ejiofor's CIA freelancer character, Copley, who actually is the catalyst for the antagonist getting his uh, kind of his story arc going. But his own story arc is really done well with the moral high ground, and also yet how to balance and how do he come to terms. But yet, without him, the old guard would not be able to come to terms with who they are, and what their purpose is in life. So that was done extremely well. Obviously, he's a great actor, and for him to do a role like this was just extremely beautiful. It was really done really well. So what we do know is that there is going to be a sequel, and it's going to probably take a while. So we're looking forward to it. Obviously, in the meantime, check out the graphic novel from Image. They have a few issues out that are supposedly really going to help with the story, but also going to go more in depth. And that's really one thing I would have loved to have seen was more in depth from the other Immortals. We see Andy's story and history, and obviously in how it pertains to the other Immortal who was used in the witch trials and dunked into the ocean. What we don't see though is her becoming the Immortal or the other guys becoming the Immortal. Nikki, Joe, and Book. One thing that would have been cool to see was some of their story arcs. We did see a little bit of Books, but not as much as the others. So let's hope that they do some of that. With that said, with that being my main complaint, I would give it an 8 out of 10, easy, 8.5 out of 10, real easy, great film, probably the best Netflix film I've seen in a long time, and it's probably since The Outlaw King. So be sure to check it out on Netflix. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more. And until then, take care.